So I understand that some of you are interested in my reaction to the Donald Trump indictment. Okay, I made that up. Nobody's interested in what I have to say about it. But instead of talking to the TV, I'm going to talk to all of you, all 10 of you, 10 million of you. So I'm not going to talk much about the indictment itself and the legal significance and so on. I probably will talk about that later. But right now I had an interesting observation, experience, and insight. I was out walking my dog near a local shopping center, and I saw a group of people sort of gathered around, and they were talking to each other, and one fellow was rather large and rather loud, not screaming or anything, just one of these kind of large people like Donald Trump. And so I heard them, they were talking among themselves, and this one guy was saying, and I got up close with my dog to see if I could hear what they were saying. And the big fellow was saying, well, I think he's okay. I saw him, during the arraignment, and he looked like he was in control and not too worried. So I think he's going to be fine. And all the other people were saying, oh, that's good. We were concerned with it. And I thought, these people, they're not just political supporters of him. They care about him. And I got to thinking, here was my insight. This guy is like Jesus Christ. Not that Jesus Christ ever paid a porn star. It was Mary Magdalene, but I don't think he ever paid her, and we don't even know what that relationship was. And frankly, I don't think it's really any of our business. So let's just stay away from the Mary Magdalene story and focus on the other aspect of Jesus Christ, which is Donald Trumpian, which is Jesus came down here, and what did he do? He died for our sins. He was tortured and crucified for us. He took the heat. He took the slings and arrows. Jesus did that, and he said, he's doing this for all of us. He sacrificed himself for us. What does Donald Trump always say? He says, they're coming for me, which means they're coming for you. So what he does is he insinuates himself between the people, his supporters, and the man, as we would say in the 60s. Donald Trump is the one who takes all the slings and arrows. He goes up against the Republican establishment, took them all on, and demolished them. How in the world did Donald Trump beat Jeb Bush in Florida? Because the people to whom he's speaking see themselves as the little guys. They don't have power. They have views and opinions, some of them not so nice, but they don't have any say in what goes on. They resent the establishment. They're worse than the hippies, or maybe worse, maybe better, whatever, than the hippies in the 60s, taking on the man. They view the Republican establishment, the Democratic establishment, the establishment in the universities, in the school system, everywhere. They view those people as the establishment that looks down its nose at them. The establishment generally has a liberal bent, but it can have any kind of a bent. The point is, the establishment is in business for itself as the establishment. And that used to be the view, and I think still is, of many Democrats, which is why Democrats have a hard time understanding why this attraction for Trump. The reason is because Trump says, I will stand up against the establishment. I'm not afraid of them. I will go against them. They will throw everything they have at me, which means at you. And I'm standing there basically being a sacrificial lamb, fighting and doing battle for you. Sure, I'm not perfect. I have flaws. Stormy Daniels. I have flaws, but that just means I'm human. That means I can also suffer. I can also be attacked. And when I'm being attacked on your behalf. And these people buy that. They see him that way, And I'm not saying that's necessarily an illegitimate way to look at him. They see him as the man who puts himself out there on their behalf, who stands for them, who speaks for them, who doesn't care whether what they say or what they think is politically correct, or whether their neighbors like it, or whether the people in their employers like it. They don't care. They have their own views, and they want someone who's going to go out there and say, I stand for these people. Now, many of those views are related to, frankly, to race, which we can discuss at a different time. But regardless of what the reason is, he's there for them, and he takes the hits all the time. And when they saw this man, this prosecutor in New York, to them, he was the epitome of the establishment. The epitome of the establishment going after their sacrificial lamb. And I think that the liberals, and forget liberals, other Republicans or conservatives are like me, I'm a moderate. We ignore that at our peril. There's a reason that Donald Trump is strong with so many people. There's a reason that so many of the religious people, the Christian conservatives throughout the South, the fundamentalists, there's a reason that he is their hero, even though his behavior is, to call it immoral, is an insult to immorality. I mean, he's the things he does certainly are not taught in Sunday school, but they don't care. They care about he's their sacrificial lamb, and they'll go to the grave caring about him. They care about him because they think he cares about them, and it has nothing to do with his views on the issues. He changes his views on the issues all the time. They couldn't care less about that. It's about this relationship that they have on an emotional level with the man they see as a man who stands up for them and against the establishment. So we need to think about that. This was the first time I really had an insight as to why he has this strong grip on this segment of our population. And you want to say, well, it's a segment of the Republican Party, but if he had run as a Democrat, he'd have had the same people. They would have just voted for the Democrat. They love him, not the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party, not the Independent. They love him as a person because they see him as I've just described him. So that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but when I was listening to the way these people were talking about how he was being persecuted by this prosecutor in New York, and they just really hoped that he was being able to stand up to all of this persecution, that they could stand strong emotionally. And that light went off, and I said, that's what this is all about. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible. All right, bye.